So this is one of the tragedies of what's been happening during 2020 is that there's a lot of homeless people, unfortunately. And as you can see here in the background, there's a little bit of that. There's some very big tents, and there's obviously people living in the middle of Hollywood, but there's a law in LA where they're not really allowed to take the tents away, which is a good and bad thing because at least you have a place to live at. But it's also very sad to see a place that normally is thriving with so much wealth, and now it's filled with poor people and people in tents. And something needs to change. So with the positive, I did want to show a little bit of negative. Recently, there's been a big trend of people saying that they are leaving California. I get it, the pandemic has hit people hard, combined with the fact that working remotely is becoming more and more popular, and especially the fact that California has a state income tax that can go up to 13.3% compared to states like Nevada, where it's like 0%. I mean, for people that are making extremely high incomes, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Just by being a resident in Nevada, for example, high-income people do save hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. That being said, there are many valid reasons why California is so expensive, and myself living in Los Angeles County, I wanted to show you guys a bunch of my favorite areas in Los Angeles and its surrounding areas that really do make it worthwhile, at least for me, to spend more money in general just to be here. One of the coolest areas to relax in is Santa Monica. We're at the 3rd Street Promenade, which is one of my favorite places. It's actually located in Santa Monica, and usually, of course, once again, we're in kind of a quarantine period here in America and the rest of the world. But what's cool about the 3rd Street Promenade is that usually on Fridays and Saturdays especially, there's a lot of performers, there's break dancers, and there's musicians, and there's all that stuff happening here. And it's just a very lively place. And what I like too about this place is that it's really, really close to the beach, which we're actually going to be going to the beach very soon. But I just wanted to show you guys this place because it is one of the up and coming and also like the place to go to and have fun when you're in Los Angeles. At the end of the promenade, there's even an open mall which features some pretty cool architectural designs, and being outdoors lets you enjoy the weather while perusing through it. Here I am going up on the Santa Monica escalators in the Santa Monica Outdoor Mall, which is actually pretty cool because I guess it is a safe mall during all these pandemics and all that stuff. But this is actually one of my favorite places to go to too, because again, it's close to the beach and it's outdoors, and you're combining mall with outdoors. A few steps away from the promenade, there's the Santa Monica Pier, which leads to the ocean. In some ways, this is a very historical place as it symbolizes the end of the iconic US Highway 66, which was one of the original highways in the US highway system.
Come on over. For a small fee, Zoltar will give you a wealth of wisdom.
I guess that if I give him $1, he's gonna give me my wish. Pandemic or not, as you can tell, there are many people walking around the pier, and there's still many shop stands that are open. It is a bit sad to see all the park attractions closed. In normal times, you can usually hear the roller coaster running and the sound of the park attractions working. If you keep going down the pier, there's always going to be people fishing, and if you go all the way down, you'll be presented with a beautiful view of the sea. Santa Monica Pier, the end of Route 66. This is one of the most iconic places that I can remember, and I don't know if you can kind of see it in the pictures or in the sound, but it's so peaceful, it's so quiet, and you're hearing the sea, and this is one of the things, and maybe even like the biggest thing about being in California is the ocean. It's just beautiful. You have the ocean, you have the beautiful weather, you have just this kind of feeling of being good. And that's why I understand that tax purpose wise or financially, sometimes it's easier to live in another state. But there's a reason why California is so expensive. And this is it. Another great area to visit if you are at the pier is to walk to the nearby recreational workout area. There's always people exercising, and being able to exercise in such an open area is such a blessing. A short 30-minute walk from the Santa Monica Pier will get you to Venice Beach, which is one of the coolest and most artistic places in the city of Los Angeles. Here we are at Venice Beach. This is actually one of the coolest and most fun places to go to when you're in Los Angeles. And not just for tourists, it's actually also fun for people that live here because, well, there's meditation, there's art, there's the beach, there's people dancing, there's music, there's so many things that you can buy. And honestly, I love it. It's a place that I used to go to a lot on weekends. And even though now I do so much work and stuff, I do try to relax here once in a while because we're in California. If we're not enjoying the beaches, what are we doing? Going there, I do want to point out the homeless problem. In some ways, Venice has become the new Skid Row with many tents on the side of the boardwalk. It's really sad to see how many people are living this way. I do understand why a lot of the homeless population lives close to the beach. After all, they get a ton of fresh air. There are many public toilets, and then access to water is simple since there are outdoor showers and there's even the sea. Plus, in normal times, there are quite a few tourists that can hand out some change. On a more positive note, you can see that there are still many little stands along the boardwalk which sell many trinkets or offer henna tattoos, and many people who have made different types of art which look surprisingly amazing sometimes. This is one thing that I really appreciate about Venice, and actually a lot of surrounding areas in LA, is the artwork that they have on the walls. It's pretty cool. I mean, obviously this is for Spider-Man and it's been paid by some studio or something like that, but everywhere you look around, there's just art everywhere. And that's what fascinates me about this area of California. There are also many outdoor sports activities such as paddle tennis, which is literally a miniature version of regular tennis. Here we are. Behind us is actually the Muscle Beach. It's the very popular place where all these bodybuilders and Schwarzenegger is known for and all that stuff. But as you can see, it's quarantine and there's no apparatus, and there's this gate right here. Kind of sad, but I still kind of wanted to show it. And then one thing that's kind of cool is we'll look behind right here, and those are the courts of White Men Can't Jump. You know, it's a really cool film with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, and yeah, they're open, and if you want to, you can actually go play there. But yeah, kind of fun that we're here. Here's another cool thing in Venice. Well, it's the outdoor skate park. So many people are enjoying the outdoor weather and skating their heart out. Actually, it really doesn't feel like a pandemic at all when I see all these people around me. I don't know if you guys can recognize the place, but here where I'm standing is where they shot the scene of Breakin', where Van Damme was actually an extra being kind of silly and stuff like that, but it's right here. And this is one major reason not to be leaving California. The fact that this is so historic. Maybe it's kind of silly, but I think it's fun. Now that we've seen Santa Monica and Venice, I did drive quickly by the Gold's Gym in Venice, which is considered the mecca of gyms because of the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbu, and many other weightlifters that made it popular in the late 70s and 80s. As you can see from these images, all the streets are surrounded by homeless tents. Again, I'm speaking positively about California and showing the nice side, but I do want to emphasize some of the less happy side, as this is part of Los Angeles and California in general. Back to the city of Los Angeles from Santa Monica, here we are on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'll admit, many people living here don't really like coming to the street. I personally don't often come here myself, but whenever I do, I love to look at the stars and simply daydream about all the names that they represent in them. And again, like kind of showing a little bit of the not so pleasant side of Hollywood is what's been happening the past couple months. There's been a bunch of riots, and a lot of the stores and a lot of the places are still boarded up, unfortunately. It's really sad seeing this, but it's the harsh reality of what's happening. And I think that it's also important to show that, because maybe a lot of people just kind of want to live in this fantasy, whereas there's people suffering, you know, and this is important to me. When I am here, I do like to walk up to the stairs of the Dolby Theater, which was formerly known as the Kodak Theater. So thinking about dreaming of Hollywood and all that stuff, this is the Dolby Theater, where they have the Oscars, where they hold American Idol and all that stuff. So this is, again, another place that makes me dream And this is why it's important for me to show it in this video, because this is where all the magic of Hollywood happens, or at least the awards and stuff. And yeah, people don't realize that you can actually walk right to the theater, and it's right at the Hollywood Highland Mall where all the stars are. Another iconic theater on the boulevard is the Grauman's Chinese Theater, which is also a very important theater for premieres. Here we are in front of the TCL Theater, and this is actually a very, very iconic place of Hollywood, obviously because they have a lot of the premieres, and it's also one of the theaters that they've had since probably like the 30s, and it's just iconic. And the fact that I'm here and just going in front of it sometimes kind of reminds me again why I came to Hollywood and why I love this place. And it makes me dream that maybe one day, who knows, maybe I'll have a premiere right here, and that's the whole Hollywood, California dream. Adjacent to all these theaters, there's another open-air mall. Being Christmas time, I can tell that they did do an effort to make it look kind of Christmassy by adding a bunch of decorations, including a big Christmas tree. One thing that's crazy about California is that we have really good weather most of the year. So when it comes down to like Christmas period or when it's supposed to be winter, well, we still have trees, and we do try to make things look kind of Christmassy, and we do try to kind of have that winter feeling. But as you can tell, the weather is nice. It's like 70 degrees plus, and it's not quite summer, but this is California winter. Now that we've seen one of the iconic places of Los Angeles, I do want to point out one of the biggest assets that Los Angeles has, and that is the hiking trails surrounding the city. There are an enormous amount of trails, but one that I go to pretty often is the Griffith Park Trail that leads to the Griffith Park Observatory. Yeah. See, what I like about hikes is that you can kind of feel like an adventurer, or like in those Australian shows where they go like hunting for like animals and all that, and then you can kind of feel like maybe you're Indiana Jones. And again, I'm in Hollywood, so I want to feel like I'm in a movie. Going on hikes for me is my escape from being in the city. I love city life, but we all need to sometimes see nature, and this is just perfect to reconnect. The thing is that when you're in quarantine so much, going on these hikes is just such a blessing. And also, just so you guys know, this vlog is being shot literally on the last day of November, so we're pretty much December. It's supposed to be cold, and here we are. It practically feels like summer. It's a little cooler, but I don't know, I'm just lucky. This is why I love California. One thing I love about going on hikes is that many of these places often overlook the city, and we're always rewarded with some of the most beautiful views of the city and its surroundings. Behind me we have the Griffith Observatory. It wasn't a long hike at all, maybe honestly 30-minute hike. And I don't know if you're a movie buff, but this is actually the place where Eddie Murphy shouts out, "I got you suckers," in Bowfinger. And also if you look at Charlie's Angels and many other movies, really, even Rebel Without a Cause, they drive up with the car right there, and there's actually even a statue here of James Dean and all that to honor him. And once again, as I mentioned, this is one of my favorite places. It has a free museum, it talks about space, the universe, and just the gradness of everything. In the distance we can see the Hollywood sign, which always reminds us that this is the city of stars and where dreams do come true. Behind me, as you can see, that's the observatory. And just to show that this is real and it's not fake, it's not a green screen, behind me we have the surreal sunset. Isn't that beautiful? Yep, that's California, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to leave. Of course there's sunsets everywhere, but come on, this is good. As the sun is setting down, well, LA is going to sleep. It's quarantine time, pandemic, all that stuff. And as I said, these are some of my reasons why I would not leave California and Los Angeles particularly. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed discovering a little bit more of LA, seeing a little bit more of the places that I go to. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing many more vlogs, and hopefully through my vlogs, maybe you guys will want to stay in California, and people that said that they're not staying in California, they're going to move back here. But anyways, well, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.